see.
Hello,
Yay!
can you see me?
Hi, yes, I can see you.
Great. I can't really see myself.
Fantastic.
It's good.
There you go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. So there's always like that tech part to figure out in the beginning. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Let's see. Is it good, Brie, the connection?
Yeah, I can't really see myself, but I can see you. That's great.
Oh, no. Maybe, let's see. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Can you maybe pull the camera back a bit? Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. I can see you now. Awesome. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. How's everybody doing? Good, good. Hey, Delina. Hey, Aiden. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I'm live here from Denver, Colorado, and I'm here with Brie from Portland, Oregon. Usually she's from Brooklyn, New York. Anyways, thanks again for all the positive feedback I've been doing with these IG Lives, and I'm just excited to continue doing these Q&As and just highlighting, some of these incredible people in my network. I just want to continue to just give value and support you in whatever you might be struggling with in your life or business. So today, I'm super excited about today's guest. She truly has an amazing story, and she can really bring a lot to the table as it comes to the marketing and coaching side. So for all of my marketing and coaching people out there, definitely keep tuning in. So I'd love to introduce you to this lovely lady here in my network to help you support you with your brand story. So this is Brie Falough. She's an international celebrity nanny turned brand and visualization strategist. Her love for telling stories has captivated the hearts of thousands as she navigates the world of marketing. So every person has a vibration, a sound, and a voice. With her expertise, she can help you turn your brand story into a functional and thriving business. So with that being said, Brie, I just want to thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yay! So yeah, with all of that, can you please tell us a little bit more about your story and how you got started with everything? Because I know, like, coming from like celebrity nanny, international celebrity nanny, now moving into the branding and visualization side, I know that's like definitely an interesting one too.
Yeah, very different, but kind of ties in all together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm 30 years old. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I live in Brooklyn, New York most of the time, but when everything started to heat up with COVID, I sleeping in.
Connection issue.
And so
Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry, there was like a little connection issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm back in my childhood house with my parents. It's nice. My mom's making me breakfast, which I appreciate on the daily. But I started babysitting like a lot of girls did. And when I graduated high school, I didn't really know what direction I wanted to go into. I always had a love for business, but didn't want to go to university right away. But my dad growing up in the middle of the civil rights movement, that wasn't really an option. He was like, "You're going to go to college. You're going to major in business and probably get married, have a dog, all that. That's just what it's going to be." Tried that for about a year, and then I wasn't feeling it. And so I dropped out, went back to babysitting, joined an agency in Portland, and became super popular. At the time, the agency was a school, and so they were trying to market to me to join the nanny school, but I had so much experience. I was like, nah, I got this. Like, let me just join the company. And so I ended up joining the company, and I was booked out. I was a temp nanny, which means I was with a different family every day.
Wow.
So I got exposed to a lot of different personalities, a lot of different moms and children. I worked with children that had Down syndrome and autism, and I could handle myself. And so the agency ended up saying, okay, you're really, really good at this. We're going to move you over to celebrities, athletes, politicians. So I was like, oh, that's
awesome.
interesting. And then I got a call one morning. I remember it was a Thursday, and they're like, so, Daniel Baldwin is in town, and he needs somebody to stay with him. And I was like, oh, when? They're like, like 2 hours, and it's going to be for several weeks. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, they have like a 3-year-old, I think a 2-month-old, or maybe like an 8-month-old. I'm not sure, but they need somebody right now. And that's the world of temp nannying, is that when they call you, you just go, and you have nanny skills. And so you're able to just, but I was able just to dive right in. So I did that for a while, ended up going back to college in New York, went to missionary school, majored in marketing and advertising. But then afterwards, like so many, new graduates, I was like, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
So did a little bit of nannying again. And then I ran into this woman or worked for this woman
Mm-hmm.
who, was an influencer on Instagram. And her story was she was a woman that found herself pregnant, surprise. And
Yep.
how did that happen? Um, and she, you hear the saying, I don't want to be like an everyday mom. I want to be a cool mom. Well, she
Mm-hmm.
kind of took that to the next step. She was like, I want to have this baby. I'm going to, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to lose myself. I
Right.
want to still wear Prada. I still want to go to, Saks Fifth
Yes. Yep.
Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
Bloomingdale's. I want to go to cocktails, parties,
Yep.
and I want to be my daughter too. And so she built this brand, an international brand. I mean, I was watching her and she was closing deals with, Colgate and
Mm-hmm.
Uber and Disney. I mean, getting flown for the Moana premiere out to
That's
Hawaii.
amazing.
And I was like, tell me
Wow.
about your world. Yeah. And so I ended up, kind of following her and watching her. And then that's how I started, and got into marketing. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, so
Yeah.
how long have you been doing this officially?
So I've been doing this officially now for 6 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
very good.
hmm
What's the one thing you wish you would have known when you started this?
To start off with high prices.
Okay.
There's a woman that I follow on IG called Jerisa Hawk, and
Mm-hmm.
she's really been good for me.
Mm-hmm.
She's a high ticket sales coach, and she talks about like if someone handed you a Chanel and it was $25, you would
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, thanks, fake." Like that's
Yeah.
not that's probably not a real Chanel. And I remember thinking about that, like, like, am I kind of belittling myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like having a bunch of clients at like $100 versus, you know, a couple clients that I can really pour into at a higher price. So,
Yeah.
obviously I believe in, high ticket and low ticket for sure. There's sales and promotions,
Mm-hmm.
but just valuing what you have to offer is very important.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing tip. And I think that's really good for people getting started too, because I feel
hmm
like people really like undermine their credibility and their experience when,
hmm
like people have been through a lot, and especially like just thinking from my own world and probably yours too, it's just like, I feel like that is definitely one thing I wish somebody told me as I was getting started.
Right. And it's
Yeah,
really easy to be fearful, right? Especially during a time like this. I remember
yeah,
being in a sales call Q&A, like, what does this mean for my business? I mean, I'm a little freaked out, but I
mhm,
remember the person saying, like, you can't assume that people don't have money. You can't assume that people are not conducting business because that's a
mhm,
lie and you're lying to yourself.
yeah.
So don't lie to yourself. Yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah, Jasmine
Yeah.
just commented here. Hi, Jasmine. She said, charge your value. Charge for your
Yeah.
value. Love that.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
hmm
Okay, so I definitely have a lot of professionals and entrepreneurs here in my audience as well. Can you give us maybe like your top tips on like improving your brand story, maybe
Right.
as a business and as an individual?
Yeah, I totally can do that. So I would say be authentic, be unique, but I feel like
Mhm.
that's been said time and time again,
Yep.
no shade to the people that have said that, but I think the biggest thing is just being transparent and honest.
Mhm.
And audiences really appreciate that. So I
Mhm.
guess that it's the same, but a different way of wording it.
Yeah.
And because ultimately when you show the good, the bad, and the ugly within reason, people can resonate and say, okay, this is my person. I want to work with her
Mhm.
or him.
Yeah, totally. Well, I feel like people crave authenticity, especially now, right? I was talking to a couple of my other friends about this too, and we were just talking about how like, with influencers and stuff, like it used to be like flexing on like, that Chanel bag, right? But it's like that's
Yeah,
not going to work
flexing.
anymore. Yeah. It's very different now.
Right, right.
Um,
And sometimes it can be seen as tone deaf too, right? If you're
mhm.
just showing everything you have versus like
Yeah.
the balance of I do struggle with this and I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Definitely. So did you find it pretty difficult as you were like starting out your business and just kind of like starting it out in the very beginning since, like you came from this world with the celebrity nannying and then now moving into the marketing side. Like how was it as far as like finding clients and getting started, getting your name out there?
Yeah, it was interesting. The biggest thing was just showing up, right? Like
Hmm.
making sure that I actually did what I said I was going to do.
Hmm.
Because after, kind of jumping backwards,
Hmm.
after college, right, and nannying and going into marketing after seeing this
Mhm.
influencer, I thought I wanted to be, and still am, I shouldn't say I thought, um, a coach for men. And I still
Okay,
have men
cool.
that I coach, an emotional support coach for men, because I saw that there was
Mhm.
a really big gap between men and women when it came to like raising children. And I always kind of
Mhm.
wondered why that was. And so when I jumped on IG, I just told my story about why I work with men and only men when it comes to coaching, and people resonated with it. And then it kind of just took off from there. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, tell us
Mhm.
more about that, like, because obviously, like, like how can people, uh, or how can you support people as well, like, or especially like, men in coaching.
Yeah, so that started from being with all these different families, and it didn't matter if I was in Costa Rica, Bali,
Hmm.
didn't matter if I was in London or Cameroon. I just saw that like the men weren't really getting it, and the women were
Hmm.
like talking to them. It was kind of like Charlie Brown, rah, 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 rah. And the
Yep.
men were like really, resonating with that because they were getting
Yeah.
barked at, to be
Hmm.
fair, right? And there was
Hmm.
a lot of stress with new,
Yeah,
babies and
exactly.
practices and, soccer and dance.
Hmm.
And so I remember just pulling this dad aside and was like, what is going on with you? Like, what is wrong? And he was like, I'm not well. And no one's asked me in 7 years. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
oh, why is that? He's like, why do you think? We're
Yeah.
consumed with our kids. I
Hmm.
wanted to date the girl and I got the girl. Then we got engaged and it was about the bride. Then we,
Hmm.
had a baby and it was about the mom. And then
Hmm.
when the baby came, it was about the baby and the mom. And I've been left out. And I was like,
Hmm.
whoa. And then, of course, I called my dad and my uncle, like, is this true? And they're like, yeah. And
Yeah.
you can't really ask for help because it's seen as selfish. I mean, this woman just, like, had a baby. You can't,
Hmm.
necessarily complain. And everybody's like, oh, get
Yeah.
over it. So that's how that all started. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's huge,
Yeah.
especially because, like, people forget about the guys.
Yeah. Yeah. We need strong
Yeah.
fathers and men and
Mhm.
husbands.
No, I
Definitely
love
do.
that. I think that's amazing. Can you share, I guess, just some like advice as far as like, because we are talking about like brand story and everything, and how it is
Mm-hmm.
about telling stories and just hearing your stories, like, it's just like so easy to talk about and stuff too. Can you share some tips for some people that, maybe this is their first time getting online and sharing their experiences online, because it's telling your story, right?
Right. It's your story, it's your version, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
always, different perspectives, but you're telling it from your point of view. And I think it's always really important to remember that, not everyone's going to like necessarily what you have to say, but if you're truthful to yourself and you're speaking your mind,
Mm-hmm.
just go with it.
Love it.
When it comes to like marketing, I've always kind of like used a template of, what's your why? Why did you start?
Mm-hmm.
Why should we care, right? Was there any sort of conflict that you were up against, right? That
Mm-hmm.
that kind of inspired you to start to do what you're doing. And then, how did you overcome, that fear of getting started and starting your business, et cetera, and then go from there and
Yeah.
and talk about how you can help your client solve a problem, because it's all really about solving a problem, right?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's so powerful. And thank you for sharing that, because I think it's really important to also bring it back to the why, right? So like Simon
Mm-hmm.
Sinek, he always says like people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And certainly like
Exactly.
coming across with that authenticity, because that's what people are craving right now. And I think that's
Right.
really important too, just to also put you in the right mindset, because once that fear comes out, it's you're making it about you and you're not making it about
Right.
others, right?
And
Exactly.
also being kind too. That's another
Hmm.
thing as well. I mean, my dad's from New Orleans, from the
Hmm.
South.
Yep.
Even though I was raised in Oregon, we're Southern, and we always would say in our house, you get more bees with
Hmm.
honey than
Yep. Love
vinegar.
that. I
Be
love that.
kind, like
That's
be nice.
awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to open it up to questions from our viewers right now. Thank you guys
Yeah.
again for tuning in. Hi,
Hi,
Emily.
Emily.
Yeah,
I love Emily.
very good. Um, okay, any questions? Well, I have another one that was submitted prior to this. What would be one thing you'd recommend for people to take as like an action step to further their goals? Just because I know some people right now, it's like there's a lot going on and people are
Mhm.
working from home. Some people have lost jobs, right? But it's like, I still believe like action is everything.
Right.
What would you
hmm
recommend?
Yeah, so the first thing, this might sound silly, get
Mm-hmm.
some water and some lemon if you have some.
Mm-hmm.
Take a drink and just sit for a second and just,
Mm-hmm.
calm it down, right? Because honestly, if your mind is chaotic, you're not going to put your best foot forward,
Mhm.
and you don't want to be in panic mode. So, drink some
Mm.
water,
Yep.
breathe, right? Meditate. I pray to Jesus. That's my
Mhm.
thing. That's my
Yep.
dude. Do what you need to do, and then get a piece of paper out, and then just like what I call a think dump
Okay.
is just write a circle and just start writing, right? Get your
Mhm.
brain moving, and then you can start to put the steps into place of, okay, what's the next thing? Do you need to start that Facebook group,
Mhm.
an Instagram account? Do you need to collect all the business cards that have been collecting dust in your
Mhm.
dresser?
Yep. That's it.
Start to make an action plan and then write a list, 1, 2, 3. And even with those simple steps, it gets you in the right mindset of like, okay, we're going to do this. I really like, I forget her name, Marie Furlow, is
Oh
that what
yeah,
it's
yeah.
called?
Marie Forleo. Yep. Yeah.
Thank
She's
you.
got
Oh
great
my
hair.
God. Yeah, right. She's great. I love her book. I haven't read it yet, I'll be honest.
Mhm.
It's on, my bed to read, but it's called
Uh-huh.
Everything is Figure Outable.
Yes.
And I instantly loved that title because it is. If you can think it and dream it, you can do it.
Mhm.
And so the only thing that's really holding us back is ourselves,
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
And I
No,
think,
that's such great advice. And that's
mhm,
so helpful too, because you can just like organize and simplify it. And I feel like too often, like we overcomplicate things, we overthink things. And all you got to do
mhm,
is just like, break it down like that. And starting with just like, doing that think dump that you said, I think that's going to be huge. Just get all
yeah,
your thoughts out. I think that's so helpful.
right.
We have a
Mhm.
question that was submitted here. What is the best way to share your brand story?
Yeah, so I love jumping on live.
Hmm.
That can be nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
but again, like if you follow that template of like, what is your why? What is your story? Why should people care, right? Because like, let's be real, time is of the essence,
Yeah.
time is the biggest currency. So you want people to know that what you have to say has value
Hmm.
and that you're there for them. And so if you follow that, you can start to put things into motion. Yeah, contacting your
Hmm.
girlfriends and tell them
Yes.
your dreams within reason, your
Hmm.
supportive girlfriends,
Yes,
your
yes.
supportive
Yep,
girlfriends.
yep, love
Um,
it.
and then, start to build a tribe and then, you know, talk about your dreams and what you can do for people.
I love that. No, that
Mhm.
is such great advice. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Well, do we have any other questions here? How can our viewers connect with you online?
Yeah, so Instagram, I'm asked, or what am I talking about? Instagram is at,
Uh-huh.
excuse me, Brie Falough. DM me. If you go to my profile, my number will be on there. You can always text me with some questions, and we can set up a free 20-minute consultation, and we can
Okay.
talk about your dreams and your goals and make it happen. Hmm.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being on this. And I'll have,
Thank
yeah, I'll have
you.
Bree's handle tagged here in the IGTV and the replay if you didn't catch the live. But yeah, I just want to thank you so much for being on this. And I think, this is going to be really good for everybody. And, because, we left them with some actionable tips that you can take right here and now. And it doesn't have to be big,
Mhm.
but it's about getting started, right?
Right, right. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your vision for this.
Yay,
It's
sounds
beautiful.
good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was so lovely to talk to you. Thank you
Yeah, thank
again. We'll
you.
definitely have to bring you on soon. So I'll definitely get feedback from my audience as well and then go from there.
Okay,
Sounds
awesome.
good.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.